Take a deep breath, take the higher road. That's what they always say, as if they know the way. They won't take it from me. But don't ever doubt yourself, 'cause life ain't just a dream. You made your own, so kick and scream. The people will act with a never-ending force. You never had the chance, so what you waiting for? The day has come, my friend, 'cause this is war. It's time and this is war.
When we think of tyranny, most of us imagine it coming from far away, from kings, from dictators, from regimes across the ocean. But what if I told you tyranny is alive and well right here in America, hiding behind the polished doors of government agencies that claim to protect our children? Across this nation, families are being torn apart, not because of abuse, not because of neglect, but because parents made a medical choice or dared to question authority. CPS and DCF have become powerful weapons of control. Agencies with unchecked authority to rip children from loving homes, often without due process, and then subject them to medical procedures, foster care trauma, and psychological wounds that can last a lifetime. This isn't just about one family. This is about sovereignty, the God-given right of every parent to raise their children without government intrusion. And make no mistake, if it can happen to the Rivera family in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, it can happen to any of us. What we are witnessing is the collapse of parental rights and the rise of medical tyranny, where the state believes it owns your children, your choices, and your future. And unless we speak up, unless we fight back, unless we reclaim our voice, this machine will keep rolling forward, devouring families in its path. So today we are going to be pulling back the curtain on CPS corruption. Today we are shining a light on the government overreach that has become the greatest domestic threat to the American family. And today we say with one voice, our children are not property of the state. Our families are not for sale. Our sovereignty is not negotiable. You're listening to Nurses Out Loud on America Out Loud Talk Radio. I'm your host, Nurse Kimberly Overton. Before we get started today, I do want to encourage our listeners, if you have questions or comments, or perhaps you want to share your own experiences with what you're seeing on the front lines of healthcare, you can now submit those to us directly by visiting our website at nursesoutloud.com. We would love to hear from you. We encourage all of you to engage in the battle and find your voice in this fight. But until you are able to do that, we will continue to be that voice for you. Today's episode is not an easy one, but it is one that we must talk about. It's about family, freedom, and the fight against state overreach. This is the story of the Rivera family from Fitchburg, Massachusetts. A loving mother and father raising their 5 beautiful children, only to have them ripped away. Not because of abuse, not because of neglect, but because these parents declined a single vitamin K shot for their newborn. That one medical decision triggered the unthinkable. All 5 of their children taken by the Department of Children and Families. And if that wasn't enough, while in foster care, their children were vaccinated against their will, despite a landmark ruling that was supposed to protect children in state custody from forced vaccination. This isn't just injustice, this is tyranny. Izzy Rivera joins me today to share his family story, his ongoing fight for justice, and his message to all parents about the importance of standing up for their rights. Also joining us is Joan Quinn Eastman, a veteran TV radio writer and producer who broke the truth about the Rivera story on Boston Broadside, New England's only conservative publication. Their case has drawn national attention, including from American Made Action, who was so shocked they produced the documentary, Taken, State-Sanctioned Kidnapping. Izzy is a central figure in the film premiering Sunday, September 7th at 6 p.m. in Boston. Eastman is among those who are working to right this wrong and reunite the Riveras. Izzy, Joan, thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you for illuminating this story. It needs all the light that can be shown on it possible.
Absolutely, it truly does. This is unfortunately something that we are seeing happen more and more. But let's start at the beginning. Izzy, if you want to just tell us, my listeners, just a little bit about your family, your wife, and your 5 children. What was life like before all of this happened?
Life before all this happened was a pretty normal life, but for us, it was just a very, tight knit family life. I would homeschool my two eldest kids. I was very active with them, as I am with all my kids, but more so with them because they're older than the rest. And so, I would be with them to kind of teach them how the world was and, these type of things. For my younger ones, they would go to daycare. And then after daycare, I would just pick them up, go outside with them. Just normal, family stuff, going outside, taking them out to eat, hanging out at parks, these type of things.
Um, So I really want my listeners to hear this clearly, that this is just a normal family. This is a family that loves their children, that they have a good foundation, and this is what makes what happens next even more shocking as you hear that this is just your normal everyday family. But take us back to the day that this all took place, Izzy, the day that DCF came into your lives. Can you tell us kind of what exactly happened?
Yeah, so you can imagine yourself just waking up like any other day and, taking care of your necessities, brushing your teeth, showering, getting ready, going to a scheduled appointment that you yourself scheduled to have your son looked at and checked out and go through the basic things that you go through in appointments for kids of that age. And then, you get ready, you go to that appointment, and then while you're in that appointment, things change. And basically the rest of, up until now, from then, it's been now 7 or 8 months since that point. But then everything changes from that one appointment that you scheduled. So, I mean, it's just kind of a nightmare, It's like, just imagine yourself waking up to have a normal day, go to an appointment, thinking about what you're going to do after, maybe go out, maybe what errands you have to go. But then after you go to that scheduled doctor's appointment, things being told to you, and then your life changing because of that appointment that you scheduled. It's just, that's a basic overview of that, but it's just basically like something like a normal day into a nightmare.
Yeah. And I think that most parents really don't realize how quickly a medical choice like that can spiral into state involvement. They are very quick to bring CPS in. I know that many of my listeners are familiar with a case that we did on a 4-year-old child whose mother was advocating and asking questions on the treatment protocol that they were using. And, for her question, they immediately contacted CPS and tried to have a restraining order placed on these parents simply for asking questions. So you think that you're exercising your rights as a parent, and then suddenly you're in the fight of your life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would have never thought, just like any other parent couldn't imagine what a simple appointment or what was supposed to be a simple appointment could turn out to be for you and your family. I mean, I scheduled the appointment. Essentially, I ask myself at times, I think to myself, this is pretty strange, this occurrence, because it's essentially as if I didn't schedule the appointment, my kids would still be with me. But I did nothing wrong by scheduling an appointment to have
No.
my son looked at in the first place.
So when you brought your son in for his appointment, did they have representatives of DCF there to meet you for this? And what did that look like?
No, so it was just, again, this was just a normal appointment that I had scheduled myself, because my wife didn't want to go through the pressure that the current doctor, I'm not sure if he's still a doctor there, but the doctor in this case She didn't want to deal with the pressure that he was, giving us. And so she had me go through with the appointment because he was pressuring us to get a vitamin K12 vaccine, which I told him I don't want to get. I told him I had religious exemptions against, and still, he pressed it on, but over the phone, he kept it minimal. Um, so essentially, yeah, it's just a nightmare. But go ahead.
Could I ask Nurse Overton her professional opinion, because we have a great number, Kimberly, of supporters for the Rivera family across the country. And among them is a nurse here in Boston that I worked with on several cases. In fact, 5 years ago when COVID happened, I thought I was going to retire. And we were fighting to save somebody's life who was being medically kidnapped. She just messaged me the other day and said she's done some research. I haven't even had a chance to tell you this yet, Izzy, but she said that it can actually be dangerous for a 7-month-old baby to get a vitamin K shot. It's usually only given to newborns for the express purpose of if you get in an accident on the way home, they won't hemorrhage out on you.
Actually, and I'm glad you asked me because I was about to interject my opinion here. Because as I'm listening to this, I was about to ask you, Izzy, like how old was the baby at this appointment? Because the vitamin K shot, so babies are newborns, they're born with low vitamin K, right? So yes, that's why they are recommending these, but it's usually within several days that they are up to par with their vitamin K levels. The gut bacteria begins making gut vitamin K usually by 1 to 2 weeks. So by 7 months, what is their rationale for even wanting to give this shot? It doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't excuse me, it doesn't make any sense at all. And that's what I had asked the doctor as well for my own purposes, to understand myself, because I didn't understand it. I knew that I got pressure when I first brought him in and declined the vitamin K shot to the doctor, but then he had to let me go because I declined it. But then every appointment after that was scheduled, it was a pressured phone call. It was because I made sure to protect my kids' rights. I'm their only voice. And so I made sure that if I'm going to this appointment with this hospital that I only chose because they're the only hospital available that's open after my appointment. And what happens is when you have your child, for people that aren't parents, when you have your child, for them to release the child, they have to already have an appointment scheduled. And so that was the only doctor that had the availability for when our child was born. Before that, we had a pediatrician, but she closed her practice and retired. And they had my medical exemption paperwork that this new doctor was supposed to get, and that they had been notified about many times by myself, but still denied it. And so they never explained to me or gave me any type of explanation. He just said that it's needed. It's needed. It's needed. But months went by and I told him the same thing. It's not needed. My son's healthy. You can see that he's healthy. And even at that appointment, I left with my son's clean bill of health. So this is where things get kind of, I would say, dark in that doctor's appointment.
Yeah. I would imagine so, because if that baby was completely healthy, so you're telling me he was not having any like bruising, no bleeding, no liver
No,
problems, nothing like that.
no, the doctor gave me a clean bill of health, which I still have in my possession, as well as I left and was allowed to leave. No police were called. DCF wasn't called that day. They came a couple days after. I was allowed to leave because there was nothing wrong with my son, completely healthy.
Well, what's more, Kimberly, is I'm sure you're aware that the number one side effect of the vitamin K shot is fatality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for newborns. So now you compound the risk for the child, giving the child the shot later in life when he's not supposed to have it. And that's something we're definitely going to be looking into and researching.
Yeah, that's absolute insanity to me that they would even be bringing it up. If I could almost understand, and them trying to push it in at the newborn stage to a certain degree, but I also agree with, if you don't want it, that is your absolute right. That is your child. the fact that they are pushing it 7 months later, there's nothing to back that up. There's no rationale that could make that make sense to me.
Well, it's interesting. Izzy's account of the experiences that, and by the way, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that this doctor was Iranian trained.
Hmm.
So they have a very different perspective on authority.
Yeah.
And so defying authority to them is a much bigger deal than in the free country of America.
Right.
And so it's quite possible the way he went back and forth with his supervisor during the visit because of Izzy's resistance to just succumbing and complying and getting the shot, that there was maybe he had a quota of shots he had to do because, as you know, Kimberly, the medical profession is rife with payoffs.
Absolutely.
Most pediatric practices thrive on bonuses from getting inoculations. I mean, we had to leave a pediatric practice here in my town because the doctor was like, okay, you're going to put him on your lap or you're going to put him on the table for the shot. And my son said, whoa, 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 hold on. Who said anything about shots? Oh, yeah, he needs this one, that one. No. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Give me all the research on it and we'll get back to you. And that practice folded, by the way. Folded about a year later. Yep.
People ask me all the time, well, what pediatricians do I recommend, that will respect the choice not to vaccinate. I tell people all the time, I don't recommend pediatricians at all. Because honestly, there's nothing that they do outside of pushing jabs. There's really not anything that we can weigh, measure, and track milestones all on our own as parents. And we can take a baby to a good, trusted family medicine provider when they're sick. We don't take children to the doctor when they're well. Why?
Absolutely. And that's actually something that I'm struggling to understand because that's the logic that they were trying to portray on me, which is that the doctor was telling me that we have certain concerns because he hasn't been seen in this amount of times by this age. When in my mind, I'm overseeing my children. They are healthy. Why am I going to bring healthy children to a hospital?
Exactly.
It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, but it does make sense when you understand and you look at it from the perspective of that they are trying to push compliance with these CDC vaccine schedules. That's the only thing that it makes sense for. There's no reason to take these healthy children, into a pediatrician's office where there are other sick children. I am very much against the whole, I feel bad about it because I'm sure that there are good pediatricians out there, or well-intentioned pediatricians. But in my mind, this is the most useless field of medicine that there is, because really they're just a sales arm of the pharmaceutical industry.
And it is. It is. And another thing about that is again, I said I was very active with my children. My children were, before this ordeal compared to how they are now in the care of the foster care, is that they were very much fit, very much healthy, very much strong. We are a holistic family. And so we drink teas and herbs every single day. We do activities and athletics every single day. We walk every single day. We do breathing exercises every single day. We read our Bible every day to get that as well. And, so everything is a very holistic approach. So my kids don't actually get sick because they're healthy. And if they do, then we bring them to the emergency room or anything like that as necessary. We're also not against that. Both work well for what they're meant for, but my children are all healthy. Even to the doctor, he signed off on a clean bill of health, so it's just really strange how things are still right now with no accountability towards the doctor when I have in my possession the clean bill of health, but then they're claiming neglect. It's just, there's a lot of inconsistencies.
Well, Kimberly, what they're saying is because he did not have consistent doctor's appointments, he was neglecting his child, and because he refused the shot. Now, where's the law that says your child has to go to the doctor 3 times when he's only 7 months old?
Exactly.
There are no laws, and people are so stupid. They're such sheeple, and they're so compliant. Oh, you say I have to come every month? Oh, I'll come every month. It's like a pregnant woman. Pregnant woman does not need to go to the doctor every month. If everything's progressing, the single most empowering thing a woman can do is bring another life into this world, and it doesn't need to be controlled and micromanaged by doctors, and that's a whole nother conversation for another time. But getting back to the situation with the Riveras, what ensued after these false accusations of neglect was criminal unto itself. I mean, DCF came a pounding on their door within days. Before they knew it, DCF agents came with the Fitchburg Police Department, who, in my opinion, should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. They pursued this family, members of their community that they are sworn to serve and protect, like they were criminals, simply because a doctor accused him of neglect. It's outrageous. And then the pressure became so bad that they decided to leave the state. Oh, we'll go to Texas where we can live free. We won't be hassled like this. Wrong. They were arrested. They were thrown in jail for a month. Mother and father taken away, but by a 20 law enforcement in riot gear, in handcuffs, in front of their 5 screaming children. They were thrown into separate jails. They had no communication with one another. Can you imagine your partner of 12 years that you've grown a family of 5 children with? You're separated from this person traumatically. No communication for an entire month. Held for $2.5 million bond. That's $500,000 each child for each of them. It's inconceivable that this happened to 2 Americans.
This is unthinkable to me. And these aren't just statistics. I mean, we're talking about the trauma that they are inflicting on not just the 2 of you, but your children, separating from their siblings, being separated from their parents.
Well, here's the irony, and this is why I brought this part of the story up. We're talking about clean bill of health, healthy children. Well, the children were then retained by child welfare agents in Texas and transported back to Massachusetts, where, by the grace of God, they were placed with family instead of strangers in foster care. The mother's mother and sister have been caring for the 5 children, but when they got here, they were examined by the state and found to be in perfectly good health. They were examined and interrogated. Is there violence? Do they hit each other? Do mommy and daddy fight? No, 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 no. And, part of my investigation on this story, and I'm the only one who's taken the time to really get to the bottom of the truth here. Every person I've talked to just says what an amazing, beautiful, loving family they are, how fond and affectionate the parents are of one another, how respectful the children are. They were all well-dressed. They were all polite. They were all very happy. These are the advocates in Texas that help them. And then, of course, family members and friends here in Massachusetts, everyone who's encountered them has nothing but great things to say about them. So this is just so criminal on so many different levels, especially the fact that when they got back here, they all got clean bills of health. And yet DCF continues to pursue this track of neglect with this family. And they are being treated like criminals that are guilty until proven innocent. And myself and American Made Foundation, Ann Vandersteel and Maureen Steele, and Jeff Cooner, the conservative talk show host on WRKO in Boston, national talk show host, the Trump administration listens to his show every day. We are all outraged by it, and we are not having it. We are not going to sit idle and let this continue to happen to this family.
Amen. Amen. And, like I said to you in the, before we started, however I can help and whatever I can do to amplify this message, I am more than happy to do it. I am trying to get out there to Boston. So I hope that people, and we'll make sure we drop all of the information on this premiere of this documentary that will be happening on, Sunday, I don't even know what month that is. Sunday, September 7th. Out in Boston, and I will make sure that we drop all of that information in the show notes that will accompany this episode. I am going to do my level best to be out there for the premiere and to support this family in this absolute tyrannical act that is happening. I'm so shocked. I really, when I think that I can't be any more shocked by something that the government will do, here we are again.
Yep. There you go. And this is just beyond the pale because, Izzy is a very, very strong man.
Yeah.
He's a strong man in mind and in body. I'm talking like really strong, but the strongest man in the world can be brought to his knees if you hold his children in front of him.
Exactly. And I wanted to touch on the fact that so all 5 of your children, Izzy, had been vaccinated while in foster care. Is that correct?
Yeah, they vaccinated them, and which they know is something I disagreed with because the whole case, as you heard, came from where the beginning of the case, everything started with the doctor. So they knew what I believed and how things were. And when it happened, I was still in jail because when I got transported here or extradited back to Massachusetts, I did another almost 2 months in jail. So all this happened while I was in jail. They vaccinated my children against my knowledge, against my will. And
What happened is he was in jail and there was a communications lockdown. They weren't letting any of the inmates have any communication with anyone for a solid month. So Izzy was not reachable. No one was able to consult with him. And they just went ahead and did it. And the tragedy of it, Kimberly, is that literally a week before this happened, or a week after this happened, legislation passed in Massachusetts preventing DCF from vaccinating children while in the custody of the state against their parents' wishes. I mean, how tragic is that? In fact, featured in the documentary is Michael King, the president of Mass Family Institute, who was a champion to get that legislation passed. And he was devastated to hear that they went ahead and gave the children the shots. The only saving grace is, from what we understand, and this hasn't been confirmed yet, we're still researching it, is whether the children got the COVID shots or not. I don't believe they did.
That was my next question. But I'm assuming that the children hadn't received any vaccinations. Did they try to catch them up to the entire CDC schedule in one visit? Because I know that they do that.
so there are I'm going to try to say as much as I can with the case still being open and with how I'll say certain parties involved may retaliate or not.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more to how this happened that I can't speak about yet, but it'll eventually come out within the actual appointment where they were vaccinated. But essentially, they tried to do that, but not all at once. And the way they did it was through a means that I can't speak about right now because the case is open. But as soon as it's not, then I'll be able to say what happened during that appointment and how certain parties may have done certain things for other parties to do certain things.
Suffice it to say that there was pressure and coercion. And like I said, you dangle children in front of the strongest person and they're going to be brought to their knees, especially when they're threatening you with charges of neglect, which they cannot substantiate. Right. None of the facts in this case can be substantiated. That is what's so egregious and outrageous about it. And the good news is that there was a recent court hearing, which is the only reason we can be talking with you right now at the advice of counsel. And both criminal defense attorneys are moving to dismissal. And mother is hoping to get children back right away. And then they'll deal with father's case. But they want to get those children out of foster care and back home as quickly as possible. And then beyond that, DCF, once criminal charges are dropped, really, what does DCF have on them? Rumors of this and that? The possibility of neglect because they didn't do exactly what is suggested they do. Mandates are not laws.
Exactly. This is exactly why so many parents no longer trust government agencies, rightly so, because informed consent has been ignored. Parental rights are continually trampled. I mean, let's be honest. It's not about safety. It's not about health. It's about control.
Exactly.
That is all it's about. We're up against a break, but when we come back, we are going to dig further into this just completely shocking case. America Out Loud Talk Radio plays on the iHeartRadio network. You can also listen on our media player from any web browser, anywhere in the world. We have the best in-class apps available on Apple, Android, or Alexa, 24/7 Great Talk Radio. All of our shows go to podcast the following day. You can hear them on apps such as Spotify, Stitcher, Pandora, iHeart Podcast, and many more. Be sure to subscribe and rate the show on Apple Podcasts for me. Don't forget to check out our online store at americaoutloud.shop, where you can find all of the products that we represent on our network at a discounted rate, including an incredible line of products from Chemical Free Body. Unlike the majority of supplements you'll find on the market today, with Chemical Free Body, you won't have to worry about harmful ingredients, binders, fillers, or flow agents. Their ultra-safe breakthrough nanosilver technology destroys pathogens, balances the microbiome, and boosts immunity. All of these products are proudly made in the USA and are backed by an unheard of double your money back guarantee. I've made a twice daily Green 85 drink part of my routine, which has led to a decrease in belly bloat and an increase in my energy throughout the day. Use promo code OUTLOUD to save 20% off the Healthy Gut Bundle. I'll catch you on the other side of this break. Stay with us.
Are you eating like your health depends on it? Because it does. Most of the beef in grocery stores today come from industrial feedlots where animals are pumped with hormones, vaccines, and now even experimental mRNA technology. You won't see it on the label, but it's there. Wellness Farms, eat like your health depends on it. 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef from regenerative American family farms. Our cattle roam on wide-open pastures, eating only natural grasses, never touched by mRNA shots, never given growth hormones, and never injected with unnecessary vaccines. Just clean, nutrient-dense beef, the way nature intended. Every cut is hand-selected, processed by trusted butchers, and shipped directly from the farm to your door. No middlemen. Order now at twc.health/OUTLOUD and use code OUTLOUD to get your exclusive 20% off for AOL listeners. Wellness Farms. Eat like your health depends on it.
We wouldn't go a day without washing our hands, brushing our teeth, and washing our nose. Whoa, wait, we wash our nose? Yes, the number one place where bacteria, viruses, and pollen enter the body is through the nose. So the average person breathes over 23,000 times a day. That's 23,000 opportunities for bacteria, viruses, and irritants to get into your nose and make you sick. For an extra layer of protection, wash your nose with Xlear. That is Xlear, Xlear. Xlear's drug-free nasal spray features xylitol, an ingredient proven to block adhesion of many nasty bacteria and viruses and effectively clean, not just rinse like a saline, but wash your nose. Xlear nasal spray quickly alleviates congestion, opens your airway, and ensures your body's natural defenses are strong. Read the research studies for yourself at Xlear.com. That's Xlear.com. Protect yourself from the pathogens and junk you breathe. Pick up a bottle for you and your family today.
Have you been looking for a healthy snack for on the go, but all the energy and protein bars are just too sweet and full of sugar, preservatives, and mystery ingredients? Well, not all energy bars are soft and sugary. Bear Bars are a crunchy, savory bar made from just 6 simple, natural ingredients. They're plant-based, organic, packed with protein and nutrients, and are low-temp dried for a unique crunch. Most energy bars are based on chocolate or fruit and are held together with syrups and sweeteners, but Bear Bars are a delicious combination of veggies, nuts, and seeds. They're a perfect fast snack for hikes, workouts, and busy moms and dads. To learn more, just visit bearbar.com/outloud and get the exclusive discount just for America Out Loud listeners. That's BEARBAR.com/outloud.
In just 2 minutes per day, you can reclaim your health and vitality and cut your grocery bill in half with one simple, convenient product. Our doctor-formulated Green 85 juice formula's powerful dose of ultra-concentrated essential nutrients stops hunger in its tracks and supplies your cells with what's missing in the grocery store food. It's packed with wheatgrass, chlorella, dandelion, moringa, spirulina, broccoli sprouts, acai berry, beetroot, probiotics, enzymes, vitamins A, D, K, B12, just to name a few. Go to chemicalfreebody.com/outloud today. Get nature's super multivitamin Green 85, empower your immune system, cut down on your grocery bill, and save 20% on your first order.
Hi, I'm Dr. James Bragman, board-certified EO in internal and geriatric medicine. Do you or someone you know suffer from airborne allergies due to pollen, pet dander, and other particles, which aggravate and irritate the sensitive nasal passages? Are you tired of the side effects of common allergy products, such as drowsiness, feeling lethargic, and dry nose? Well, now there's Cofix RX. This revolutionary product stops airborne allergy symptoms, all while avoiding the side effects of the usual allergy remedies. Shake, spray, and cleanse away your allergy issues with Cofix RX. Click on the Cofix RX banner ad in the American Out Loud shop for 20% off your next order of Cofix RX.
Tired of harsh chemical toothpaste that do more harm than good? Upgrade your oral health with Smile, the doctor-formulated toothpaste from the Wellness Company. Smile uses powerful peptides, remineralizers, and probiotics to rebuild gum tissue, strengthen enamel, and keep harmful bacteria away. It also leaves your mouth feeling fresh with a clean mint flavor. No fluoride, no toxins, just real science-backed results. Go to twc.health/OUTLOUD and use code OUTLOUD for 20% off your first order.
And I quote, "You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We will preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth. Or we will sentence them to take the first step into 1,000 years of darkness." Well, those are the words of number 40, Ronald Reagan. Shine bright as America approaches 250 years. AmericaOutloud.news is that place to awaken your heart, soul, and mind to the out loud truth.
Welcome back to Nurses Out Loud on America Out Loud Talk Radio. I'm your host, Nurse Kimberly Overton. Wherever you're listening from today and whatever you're doing, I thank you for giving me the gift of your time. Be sure to make AmericaOutloud.news your daily stop for all the latest news and happenings. We all must do our part and share the stories, the articles, the podcasts, and videos so we can help secure America's future. If you're just joining us, I've been talking with Izzy Rivera, a father of 5, courageously battling the system and CPS corruption to protect and reunite his family. We're also speaking with Joan Quinn Eastman, an advocate that is assisting the Rivera family. Thank you again for being here. Let's jump right back in.
Again, thank you, Kimberly. This is a story that has many twists and turns, and what's revealed in the documentary is quite compelling. And there's still a few tickets left for the premiere this Sunday, September 7th, at the Legacy Place Showcase Cinemas. And we're urging Legacy Media to come in person and meet Izzy firsthand and get the truth from the source instead of what's being twisted in the mainstream media. And I'm a mainstream media veteran. And frankly, I thought I retired 5 years ago, but I just can't abide by injustices like this. And so since the COVID injustice, I've been pulled back in. And that's why I really appreciate people like yourselves shedding light on stories like the Riveras it's so dark and it's so deep and it must be stopped. And the only way it'll be stopped is if we continue to keep shouting it from the rooftops.
Absolutely. I mean, my eyes were peeled wide open during COVID. I saw things that I couldn't unsee. I saw my patients murdered in hospitals. I saw, what was happening with the COVID vaccines, ushering those in. And as my eyes began to be opened to these things, once you see these things, you can't unsee them. You will never see the world the same again. And unfortunately, more and more, we're seeing that, these tyranny is not something that is happening other places. It's not something that is coming soon. It's here. It is here.
Right.
And I cannot say that loudly and boldly enough to my listeners. You really, really need to start paying attention. It's here.
Yep, absolutely. And so to pick up where we left off before the break, there was a recent hearing where both criminal defense attorneys are moving for dismissal in the case against both parents. And then they will be back in court on the 23rd. If the judge has not reached a decision on mother's dismissal by then, there'll be a bench trial and there will be a decision that day. Meanwhile, father and his defense attorney will be back in court on the same day. And everybody's praying for dismissal. It is the true and right thing to do. Even evidently there was a violation of something. I don't know anything about DCF. I don't know how they work. I don't work for DCF. And so that's kind of an indication that they're just following procedure. And what's really sad about this whole process is that the humanity is lost in the process. It's just this big machine that just roll like a huge steamroller with spikes on it, just picking up families along the way and destroying them. And it's got to stop. It's got to be reformed. And that's part of the charter of American-made action. They're actually proposing ways to reform or maybe even replace child welfare agencies, which are not, they're commonly known as child predatory agencies. Yeah. And in Massachusetts, DCF has even worse acronyms. But anyway, And they're also filing a federal lawsuit. United Law Coalition is part of American Made Action, and they are challenging this absolutely unjust behavior that is treating this family like they're under the Napoleonic Code. They have been treated like criminals from the get-go. They've been treated like they're guilty until proven innocent instead of the other way around. And they also have not received swift justice. You know, you'll hear lawyers and veterans in the legal field say, oh, this is moving along very quickly. Oh, really? When every day that goes by, you have 5 children separated from their parents and they're being traumatized by this? No, no, no. I'm sorry. It's not swift. And it's certainly not swift enough in a case like this.
Exactly. When I think about the trauma that is being inflicted on this family and these children, that can be lifelong. And who is going to be held accountable for that? So I'm so glad to hear that you are pursuing a federal lawsuit and legislation to try to right this wrong. I mean, what's being done is unconscionable, and we've got to start fighting back.
Mm-hmm.
We have got to start fighting back.
Absolutely. And like you'll see in the interviews in the documentary, Greg Hession is one of the most experienced and absolutely the most bold attorney in Massachusetts where DCF is concerned. He has a website called Mass Outrage. Check it out. He calls it all out all the time. And so he says that what they do and what they get away with is it's criminal unto itself. And the only way it's going to change is if we resist. And the sad part about it is Izzy knew his rights. He knew he could decline DCF services. He did nothing wrong by saying, you know what? Our kids are just fine. We don't need you checking on them. We don't need your services. We are not interested in being engaged with DCF. Leave us alone. And they did not respect that. They kept pursuing them, terrifying the children in their own home. It's outrageous.
It really and truly is. And this is why it matters so much that we show up. I think if we can show up in court to support Izzy, that's what we all need to do. So I would encourage people, particularly people who may have large social media followings, who have large media followings, please pick up and get on board with this. Show up and support this family. And this is why it matters. We need to start holding these agencies accountable because they thrive in silence and secrecy, right?
Right. Because silence is consent. Also, there's some legislation being proposed in Massachusetts that they make juvenile court cases public because juvenile court, which is where the DCF case lies, they operate under a cloak of darkness. Exactly. Yeah. Totally shrouded in darkness. And of course, if they're in darkness, they can do whatever they've been told that they can lie if they want to.
Of course.
And they will not be held accountable for it. It's outrageous. Yeah. It's absolutely outrageous.
We're going to shine a light. Sunlight is the best disinfectant that there is, and we are going to shine a light on this.
That's right. And the next court date, by the way, in Fitchburg District Court, 100 Elm Street, is on September 23rd. It is going to be a monumental day. And we really are hoping for a dismissal for Mother, because then DCF will have absolutely nothing on her. They will have no reason to continue to hold those children. And it's going to take public outcry and instruction from we, the people, for whom the public servants work. It's going to take instruction from us to say, release these children and reunite the Rivera family immediately. It's that simple.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to do what we can in the meantime to start picking up some steam on that and getting some people, all hands on deck. We need to stand together on this because silence, as you mentioned, is compliance. We can't just wait until it happens to us. We saw how well that worked out with COVID.
Right, exactly.
Vaccine mandates. We cannot wait until it affects us. If there's an injustice for one person, there should be an injustice for all of us.
Yeah, just imagine that you have your child, you're homeschooling your child to protect the child against vaccines that you do not believe they should have. And of course, indoctrination and all the other things that are confusing young children today. And you're homeschooling your children, you're living your life peacefully, and then all of a sudden you're separated from everyone. And as attorney Greg Hession says so poignantly in the documentary, parents who are very engaged in their children's lives, like Izzy was describing with his own older children, especially by homeschooling them, they're reduced to 1 or 2 hours of visits with their children a week. How in the world can you expect to uphold a bond with your children at 1 hour a week? Now that's criminal. And Izzy, I don't know if you'd care to comment on it, but he and his mother and other family members have noticed a difference in the children since this has happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's basically that, the procedure is the punishment because like my oldest son just told me the last visit I had with him that, I was realizing that he had some different behaviors and I was asking him about it. And I said, is it because what's going on? I know you're trying to be strong because daddy has taught you to be strong in life, but you're still my son. And I know this is tough. So tell me what's going on. And he told me, Dad, and he started crying. And he just said, Dad, I'm tired of pretending. And then I asked him, what do you mean by pretending? He said, well, I have to pretend like the school system is good after you taught me about it. I have to pretend like these people are, you know, friends, and it's basically their whole world because they're so young and their experience of reality is, their perception is forming their world. Right now, they're in basically a traumatized state in a fake perception of reality where they have to pretend. And so, the procedure is traumatizing them while claiming that by law, reunification is the standard. So if this is truly reunification, then why are my children the ones that are suffering the most? Why do they have to create this fake reality when they could just be with mommy and daddy in their apartment, when they can just have the life that they had before? Why do my kids have to be traumatized? Joan did mention that they were interviewed and interrogated essentially by the Department of Children and Families as well as police. But that wasn't only in the state of Massachusetts. They also did that in the state of Texas. So two different agencies, or the same agency, two different states, as well as the police of both states, as well as the documentation that they have in court themselves states that they asked them very personal questions. They determined that they can tell a lie from truth. I don't know how you do that with a 4 and 5 year old. They did just a lot of illegal stuff. They got consent to interrogate them and interview them and put that in a report, which then gets, I'm assuming gets held in a trial towards the parents, because why else would you do that, right? That's it. But in essence, they did all that, illegally, but still my kids proved against everything they were looking for, but I'm still in court. But my kids are still separated from me, but they're still traumatized. And kids, to their own standard, even though what they did is illegal, they were able to determine that right from wrong. So if that's the case and you interviewed and interrogated them while we were in jail, right? Kids can be easily, coerced in these type of things. And they had all that time to do that, ask them questions, interrogate them, and they still all unanimously gave the same answer while we were in jail away from them. So why is this case even a thing? Why is this
Exactly.
a reality?
Exactly. It's criminal. So you're referring to your children. So they're 11 to 1 years old, right? You said the two older ones are what? They just turned 10 and 11. Is that correct,
Yeah,
Izzy?
10 and 11. And it's crazy because in all of this, I've now been away from my kids almost 8 months. And when I had the youngest one, that started this, I guess, this chain reaction, he was only 7 months, So it's just crazy because now he's talking and walking. It's just, I'll never get these things back. A lot of things that I'll never get back. The time with them. My son is 11. He's about to be a preteen. His mind is changing. Things are changing. I need to be there for him. And instead, I'm not able to.
Yeah, and I think the most traumatic part of this, especially particularly for your older children, is it sounds like they have been almost like they're placed in the matrix. They've been placed in the matrix and they know better. They know better. So they are in this matrix reality that they already know to be completely false, and they are going to, we all know what they do to children. We all know what they do. They force indoctrinate these children, and the
Yep.
trauma that these kids are facing, I can only imagine. But I can only assume, Izzy, that they are strong, like you, like your wife, that you have made them strong children. So I'm going to be praying for your family, that they get through this unscathed. But on a personal level, your wife and yourself, what are you doing, like spiritually, emotionally? What is sustaining you through this?
So first and foremost is God. Part of the darkness in this case is the certain lawyers and certain other players in the system itself encouraged, I'll use the word encouraged, a separation between us. So we don't have communication right now. We are going to co-parent, but essentially part of the, I would call it, the first strategy that was enabled was to divide and conquer my family. So they separated us and used the kids as leverage. Yeah.
It's just,
I'm sure you're familiar that's DCF
yeah.
playbook. They do it all the time.
They do, and it truly is. And that's just, what they do anymore is they attack the family. That's the first thing that they go to, is a family, and they will try to break that family up. And then it's like, we're here to save the day, the government or whatever, the school system, whatever they can do to replace family values, and indoctrinate these children. It's absolutely, we're at a war for these children's minds at this point.
Exactly.
But
I worked on a case recently, Kimberly, where there was abuse of a child. He was removed from the home, and DCF was insisting on visiting the new parent repeatedly. Said, "Oh, we just want to come once or twice to be sure everything is all right." And after about 6 or 7 months of it, it finally got to a point where they said, every time he hears you're coming, he thinks the police are going to come and take his father. So you know what, DCF, you're doing more damage than you're doing good. So enough, and stop. And of course, the whole process was all about trying to engage him in services and get therapy and pay 27 salaries, as they do with so many families like the Riveras. They were probably drooling at the Riveras. 5 and 1? Oh, yeah. Let's go get them. Let's stop at nothing until we've got them all in the system. And we're making money off of 7 people, and keep them in the system as long as possible. And I'm speaking the truth here, not only from all my advocacy with so many different DCF cases, but I'm an advocate because it happened to my own family. And I did not believe my son when it happened to him. And then when I went to Arizona and saw what was going on, I saw it firsthand, up close and personal. And it is devious. It is dark. It's beyond imagination, the heartlessness of the people involved in the system. And it's only going to stop if we, the people, stand up against it and say
exactly. Because so many people just believe, the narrative out there that these agencies are in place to help children, to protect children, and to keep families together. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, in the case I was telling you about earlier, with little 4-year-old Autumn and her family, and what they did to them. And then I've seen it. We offer advocacy services at Remnant Healthcare, and I've had people reaching out to me asking, for advocacy and support, because they're asking for second opinions on, their child's cancer diagnosis, or, their cancer treatment options. And for asking that question, they place a restraining order on these parents, and they take them away from their sick children.
It's terrible.
Anything like it.
It's outrageous. And the thing is, it's really important to address the stigma issue, because people believe that if DCF is involved in your lives, then you must have done something wrong. And then worse, with Izzy's case, because it was so high profile, he's been defamed in the media.
Yeah.
They're trying to make him out to be so many things he absolutely is not, and they have no proof of it. They have suggestions, they have shadows of incidences from years ago, ancient occurrences, which have no relevance to what's happening right now. And the media has just taken it and sensationalized it and run with it in such a way that they should be held accountable as well. And that's why they're being invited. Legacy Media is invited to Legacy Place to learn the truth firsthand. And then let's see if they actually report it, or if they just keep twisting it to get more viewers and to sensationalize a story that is, it's criminal. I know I keep saying it, but nobody deserves this, especially the children, and it's got to stop.
It absolutely is. I can't believe we're running out of time already. It always goes by so quickly, but I really want to thank you both for being here. Izzy, thank you for your courage in sharing your story. It's not just your fight. This is every parent's fight. We need to stand up and stand with you. The state does not own our children. I don't know how many times I can say that, but the state does not own our children. We must draw a line here. So again, that documentary is going to be premiering on September 7th at Legacy Place Showcase Cinemas. And that is it's Boston, Massachusetts. And that is going to be at 6 p.m.
And you can get tickets at AmericanMadeFoundation.org. Just go there and the link to the tickets will pop up right there. But get them while you can, because especially with Jeff Kuhner hosting, they're going to sell out. And for good reason, because we just cannot abide by this sort of criminal treatment of American families. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Very nice to meet you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. We'll get this story out as far and wide as we can, and we will continue to push back against this absolute tyranny. If there's anything that we can do, please feel free to reach out.
Great.
Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you for having me.
We both hope to meet you next Sunday for sure.
I'm going to definitely try to be there. We will definitely try to make that happen. All right. Well, that is all the time that we have for today, friends. But remember, we are here on the air 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern with a different nurse host daily. You can also catch the encore at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please be sure to tune in and listen to myself and these courageous nurses. As we walk you through all of these hot topics, we will empower you with information and education. We will advocate and we will stand in the gap for you, because we are nurses and this is what we do. I'm your host, Nurse Kimberly Overton, and you can find me here every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. Until next time, be safe, be well, and God bless. Remember, we are in a war for truth. We are putting out a bounty on the real misinformation and exposing the purveyors of propaganda. No topic is off limits as we shine our lights and expose the darkness.
It's time